Man, you stay solid, nigga. Some of us gonna make it, some of us ain't. That's just how it gonna be.
Yo, yo, yo. What's up, P? We back. Another day on Keep It G News. And I was upset earlier, y'all. Straight up, I was upset. It hurt me to my heart to know that Ralo actually turned out to be a rat. Actually been a rat for 5 years. You know? you gotta start putting timestamps on rats. Like, yo, how long he been a rat? Oh, he been a rat for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we gotta start doing it that way, man. Straight up. We gotta put a timestamp on it, yo, so we know exactly what year this person went sour. Now, I gotta shout out to Boosie, yo. Cause that's exactly how I feel about this whole situation, yo. Some of us gonna make it, and some of us is not, yo. That's just the reality of it. People can hate it or love it, yo, but that's what it is. But in this video, right, I really got a off the wall perspective. Not really off the wall, yo, because some of the things that Ralo said actually made sense to me. But not for the reasons y'all might think. And I'm going to get to that. And I'm going to play the clip from Get.DEAU and the conversation he had from Ralo, because a lot was said. But I don't think too many people were paying attention to the part that matters, you know. Most people is getting caught up on this. My arrest broke countless hearts. My supporters was dying to help me get out. Some came to every court date. I lost count of how many letters I received with advice I should use to get out. But it was one person that my team thought stood out more than any of them. His mission seemed to be more realistic than the others. This person called himself the Pimp. I will not mention his name out of respect and honor. I don't ever intend for no human being to go to jail on my behalf, so let's protect his confidentiality. My first thought to myself and question to him was, how the hell can a pimp help me? Although all of us dope boys kicked it with the pimps, pimping wasn't in my field. Islam had taught me how to honor and respect women, but he didn't enlighten me on how he was able to manipulate the feds and get a major cut on his sentence. He called this art pimping the feds. I remember some words he said that has stuck with me over the years. In war, you always have to attack your enemy at their weakest areas. He then asked me, what is the federal government weakest areas? I replied, I don't know. And he finally gave me the answer, which was cooperating. At that time, to me, having snitches was their strongest area. Because every person I ever seen get a time reduction, they always ratted on someone. I made an oath to myself and others that I would never be one of them. And still to this very day, I still stand on that. I guess he was able to discover my weakness as well, because whenever it came to getting over to the feds, I always was the first in line. I made sure it was clear to him that I couldn't ever give up, not even one of my plugs. The two plugs that I had been doing business with became some of my closest friends. I made over $20 million with one of my mans. Within the time frame of him and I knowing each other, he helped change my life and every person's life I had around me. Today, I can honestly say I know selling drugs is completely wrong, but I still have a grand thing in my heart that gives me a sense of thanks for the dope game. The pimp sent me a $400,000 invoice as a deposit and asked that he get the first 10 shows after my release for free. From our conversation, I realized the money was going to someone else, and his plan was to bank off the shows that he proposed to me. I listened to everything he said and told him I would think about it, and gave him my response soon. After leaving that conversation, I had no intention on ever getting back with him. But as I walked around the Lovejoy facility, asking others their opinion about his mission, they all asked me why the hell I ain't send the $400K over. It seems as if I was the only person that considered the Pimp mission snitching. I can't even count how many times I was asked, Ralo, the hell was you still here? You got a way to beat them folks. I called the Pimp back a couple weeks later and asked how was this plan supposed to be presented. He gave me all the information and allowed me to talk to some dudes that he continued to call the Fall Guys. The main dude in the Fall Guys crew never spoke any English, but the other dude did all the translation for him. After being told the same thing over and over in different ways, I still had a bit of confusion in my heart. I guess I needed some kind of clear understanding that I wasn't snitching. It seemed like my questions never stopped. But the statement he made that stood out to me the most was that I would be doing more for him and his family than I could imagine if I allowed them to take the job. They continued on in the conversation and enlightened me on how poor their country was and how their village needed them. I heard for many years that our dollar is nearly 10 times the amount of the dollar in Mexico. I then calculated how much $400,000 would be in Mexico. My math came out to at least $4 million. Then I thought, how far could that kind of money take them in that country? It seemed to me that they lived like kings. Over the days, them guys and I ended up building a good relationship. But I couldn't get it in my mind that a man was willing to go to prison for money because where I'm from, we would spend our last dollar to get out of jail. And here it is, countless men in line ready to lay down for many years to help their people. I gained a lot of respect and honor for those dudes due to the history of my people that ratted on the whole hood just to get time cut. I guess shit different depending on the person's conditions. I called my lawyer back and gave him the green light to try the mission. He sent the email with text over to the AUSA and asked the government was they interested in some information we had, and they responded quickly, sure. They set up the meeting date on June 6, 2018. As I walked in that door with my lawyer, I felt my stomach turning and I damn near throbbed up as I listened to the presentation of the information I was given from the dude Pimp and his people. The agent seemed to not have any interest and kept reaching for knowledge about some violent crimes that occurred. But my attorney did as I directed him and told the government my supplier and any crimes of violence was prohibited from being talked about in the meeting. They made it clear that I was being accused of several shootings, including murder, so they had no interest in any drug crimes whatsoever. Their main goal was, and still is, to solve those cold cases. As my lawyer and I walked out of the meeting, I felt his hand pat me on the back and he told me we'd done a great job. Although everything we said in the meeting was a complete lie, I still felt the worst ever. I couldn't even eat for days. 2 months later, I received a letter in the mail from the federal government. It seems as they crossed my lawyer out in the letter and accused him of being my weed supplier. They also said my co-defendant, Manu Jones, was only the manager for the marijuana farm supposedly owned by my attorney. It kinda sucked for my lawyer being pointed out to be a drug dealer, but it seemed to help my case a lot due to the conflict of interest. They also accused my lawyer of setting me up. I'll never put that tag on no human. It's just not in me to talk bad on a person. I've always had more than one lawyer on my case so that I can have multiple opinions. My other lawyer was able to file a prosecution misconduct motion that stated that the entire case should be thrown out against me and the government conspired with my conflicted lawyer to set me up. The government and my conflicted lawyer both was pissed. This was the biggest loophole created in my case, and we all know that whenever a loophole is available, we have to take full advantage of it and try to go through it. I sent word to all my co-defendants to hold off on pleading out because I had a major loophole that could free us all, and if them held off. The motion Brian filed to the court stayed on the court docket for over 2 years without a scheduled date. At first, the judge seemed to refuse to visit the motion or even put us on the calendar, but Mr. Steele never gave up. He told me that Ash and I was never going to be able to undermine the government, and he didn't understand why my other lawyer thought otherwise. But he informed me that the prosecution misconduct motion made more noise than anything. His biggest fight was that I was deprived from any cooperation whatsoever due to the conflict of interest, and I should be given a major time cut. The government didn't seem to fold. They gave us a fight out of this world and accused Ash and I of making prosecution misconduct plot against them. But they should really be worrying about this.
Information that you gave. It's you saying that you never said that you didn't do it, but you had me believing for 5 years that you kept it solid, dog. And in the paperwork, it say that in 2 months, y'all got locked up in April. In June 6th, you got a proffer. and you gave up information. You gave them folk the code to your phone and let them review it in your presence. That's what the paperwork say. But so if you saying that you gave them just the phone information because you knew nothing was in the phone, what about this shit on page 12, line 12 and 13, where it say he is cooperating against heroin, methamphetamine, he knows about shootings and the marijuana. That's what the transcript say.
Okay, I'm not opposition to that. Listen, when you go in there, they ask you other questions. I made my presentation. They started asking other questions.
You know the code though. That's what I'm saying. You know the code. You ain't supposed to have no meeting with them folks in the first place.
Queen, I was presented a situation that only reason why you know about this is because of the prosecution misconduct hearing. All these rap niggas paid that money to get out of jail.
But we ain't these rap niggas though.
Listen, please consider this. I got caught with this shit on the plane. Say, what the fuck you thought I was gonna do?
Take your lick. Like shit, it's just some weed. Well, okay. Look, listen. Remember when before you got locked up, I used to always tell you, "Hey, don't do this. Hey, don't do that. Hey,
I agree with you, Shay.
And you used to tell me, it's just some weed. So if it's just some weed, why you ain't just go in there and chin up?
Guess what?
Man, this shit say. This is what Brian Steele say. He said, if it comes out on June 6, 2018, that Mr. Davis gave information, and it says, that's a lot of information on a lot of people that are well. It comes out on June 6, 2018, that Mr. Davis gave information, and it says, that's a lot of information on a lot of people that are well known in this community. That would not bode well for Mr. Davis or his security interests at all. Like, who they talking about, though? They say well known people in the community, like,
they talk about the people who I had to make it look juicy for them. I had to act like these people was always my people. However, so many people.
But I mean, you told me your logic. You know what I'm saying, behind why you did what you did. So at the very least, I respect you at least coming clean to me. But my thing is, bro, you had me in the blind 5 years behind this shit. Like, this shit. Man, that shit crazy. I never would have expected that from you, man. Like, at all. You feel me?
Bro, look, I'm gonna tell you I'm sorry, bro. I'm a Muslim first. I'm gonna tell you I'm sorry, bro. But honestly, I didn't even think this was gonna ever come up. What the hell is like? Why is you mad? Why would you be mad?
Man, this what got me out. You had me believing for 5 years that you just kept it solid, that you that you didn't cooperate. Nah, you know what I'm saying? All that's still cooperation. Whether you was working the move or not, it's still cooperation. But I know it. Like, I would have told you, hey, boy, do not do that. I would have told you, regardless of what it would have benefited or whatever. Man, everybody know what they sign up for when they in this lifestyle, bro. A nigga just gotta take their lick. They gotta eat that. You feel me? It ain't like y'all niggas was facing no life sentence type shit.
I'm eating it, baby. I'll show you that. And then guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna keep the motions unsealed. I'm gonna get everything unsealed for you. And if you don't want me to just get unsealed, I'll just send it to you. I'll just take a picture of the motion so you can see the whole fight that Brian Steele was fighting out.
Now, in both them clips that I played for y'all, right? I'm going to talk about the get dope conversation first, because I got a lot to speak on chapter 26 of Ralo autobiography. But in that conversation with Get Dope, yo, for one, did y'all see how I hurt that man? Well, can y'all hear the pain in his voice? Yo, that's one of the worst feelings in the world, to have somebody you respected go sour. I'm talking about, yo, he could have thrown up, been in the bed for days. Like, yo, that's a sickening feeling, yo, because at the end of the day, you don't know what that man told them. You know, he could have told them about some dirt y'all did back in the day. But the most important parts of that conversation was Ralo actually gave some information about some people in his community. More than likely Atlanta. You know, that's major. Because what did he say? Did anybody get indicted behind this? But most people is getting caught up in the first clip that I played, you know, where he talked about this Mexican. And if y'all really paid real close attention or actually read that document, Ralo said that he was getting letters from fans. So obviously, from what that letter states, Ralo built the relationship off a letter written to him and took it serious. Think about that for a minute, y'all. And in the letter, this man talked about pimping the feds. Now I'm gonna be the first person to tell y'all, if you can pimp the feds, it's a tall task for one. But if a person can pimp the feds, it won't be Ralo. So another thing that they mentioned in that same autobiography that Ralo wrote, I guess, is that his lawyer, the prosecutors, the federal government was being accused of setting them up. But he disqualified it, discredited it. Yo, but I'm going to get out on a limb and say, yo, I think that's exactly what happened. All alleged, because it can't be proven. That whole scenario that Ralo laid out makes absolutely no sense to me. That man really thought that he was going to be able to pimp the feds by paying somebody in Mexico to take his charges. How is that going to work? Think about that, y'all. We talking about the federal government that do investigations. You think you can really get off that easy by saying, look, I'm telling on him. I got everything I got from him. You got to have proof to do that. So why would he think that he would just be able to pay somebody? Like, where was the proof going to come from? Text messages, phone conversation. Like, it had to have been something there to just charge this guy, even though you paid him. So, yo, that was a setup the whole time, and Ralo fell for it. He took the bait. And I understand why DEAU was mad, because even though it didn't go how he planned it, like I said, but we still don't know what he said about the Atlanta guys. Ralo was willing to cooperate. And that's enough for me. In my opinion, that is enough for you to be classified as a rat. The intent was there. He's a potential rat. And he probably is a rat, depending on what he say he gonna release the get all the papers unsealed, the documents unsealed. What'd he say? And it hurt me, like I say, to see Ralo go out like this, yo, because I told y'all, I got real paperwork. Like, real paperwork, yo. Stay silent. This is what shit look like. It's not a game. You feel me? And it hurt me, yo, to see somebody like Ralo that was respected, that did so much for his people, that did so much for his hood, to supposed to stand on morals. But listen to what he said in this jail phone call.
I was given an offer, June of this year, that could have got me home or whatnot. But, I believe in fighting for not only myself, but others. And a lot of people, when people get caught in the acts of criminal activity, a lot of people don't like the responsibility for their actions. Everybody will be smiling, happy when the money coming, and whenever a person, it's a scene in whatever criminal activity that, we doing. Everybody have a smile on their face and everybody happy, but when it's time to step up and accept responsibility for the shit, niggas don't want to do no time. Niggas don't want to goddamn, niggas can't goddamn stand in the kitchen or some shit. They want to eat the food, but they don't want to cook the food.
So the whole time, on the outside, we looking like, yeah, Ralo, he's still keeping it real. He talking real nigga shit. But he was really talking about himself. He didn't want to stand. He didn't want to do the time. He did the crime and couldn't take the time. And he talked about, he referenced this play that he thought he had, yo. But in my opinion, from everything I know about the system, yo, and I know these guys get dirty because it was only weed. They wanted more. It get dirty, yo. And he came there and he called it a presentation. And they shot it down like, man, look, man, where the guns, drugs, and money, man? Where the murders at? We ain't trying to hear none of this goofiness about this. No, we want murders. And he fell for it. He thought he had something sweet. I'm willing to bet any amount of money Ralo was still not in contact with these guys. I can promise you he ain't. He ain't in contact with these guys. He don't know these people no more. They was working with him. And they set him up. And I think all parties that he mentioned was involved. But let me know how y'all feel about this in the comments, man. Let's keep it G News and I'm out.
I'm probably gonna die if I lead a clan. You got your turn and you turned your back. You turned around, ain't no turning back. I can't be the boss and no us and that. I'm bringing bow and I'm bipping with 2 times. I bought the drink and the kid got a coupon. Make 20,000 a neck on a futon. Sitting out cause my brother in Jumon. Why you telling people you selling fentanyl? Why you telling feds you selling shit at all? Why you telling cops if you about to get it all? I'ma tell you nothing, I'm already squeezing. You be dreaming about your dreams. I be living out my nightmares. I be missing out in bed. The other night she was right there. I be lurking with my bros. I be crying with my mom. She be praying to the Lord that I don't turn into a monster. You be dreaming about your dreams. I be living out my nightmares. I be missing Kevin Bates.